Hey, how's it going? Gareth James here for MTTPokerschool.com, back today with part 3 of my early game live play analysis series from the first Sunday of this year's Scoop. I definitely recommend watching parts 1 and 2, so I'll post a link to at least part 1 at the top of your screen right now. Let's get back into the action. Okay, and he had the 6-5 of clubs, so it seems like a reasonable line from him to lead turn and then give up on the river. Bottom left then, a pretty similar spot to the Jack, I can't remember what we had, Jack 6 off. So I think we just want to raise again, and this time do it with a value hand. And top left then, 16 big blind, 17 big blind open, pocket 8s. I think if we had, similar stack size, I think 3-bet jamming could be reasonable. I don't really like the idea of 3-betting to call it off, or 3-betting and then folding if, the guy to our left jams, or maybe the small blind jams. So yeah, I think I'll probably just fold here. Okay, bottom right then, just going to defend with Queen 6 of spades. Pretty good board for us here. We flop a pair and a flush draw. Again, I'm trying to think what I did here and what we should do. So he goes ahead and bets half pot, and I think with bottom pair and a flush draw, we should just go for a call. I think if we had, let's say it was we had Queen Jack of spades and the board was Jack 10 6 with 2 spades. So we had top pair and a flush draw. I think that's a much better check raise for value and just go with it. Whereas here we just have a pretty nice hand to continue on lots of turn cards. We can improve to a straight draw, we can improve to a flush, trips, 2 pair. Obviously hitting a queen is not ideal. He has a lot of ace king, king 9, and other stronger hands than queen 6. But yeah, I think calling is makes the most sense here. I actually went for the raise, and again, like I talked about before in this series, we are making his range a lot stronger now. So if he continues, then his range is pretty strong compared to to our hand. He can have some stronger draws. He can have overpairs. He can have top pair. Just a lot of hands that are doing really well against us. So yeah, it doesn't make too much sense, I don't think, to raise here. I much prefer a call here. Top right, we defended on the button with Jack 10 off, and we face 45% pot. We're just going to go for a call. Okay, so bottom right then, King of Hearts improves our hand. I actually think on this turn we probably should just jam and try to get some better hands to fold, and if he has a better hand than ours, then we have quite a lot of outs. I think if we check and he jams, probably have to call, but not thrilled. So yeah, so I think there are already 2 mistakes in this hand, and we'll have a look in Pio to see if it agrees. I think we should just check call flop, and if we are going to raise on the flop, then we probably just want to jam turn and deny equity, and if he's got us beat, then try and get there. Top right then, we just check back with Jack 10 off. Think it's fine. Really don't want to see a river bet. So he now goes ahead and bets 40% pot. I think a call here is, it's probably pretty marginal. We don't have a spade in our hand, so yeah, I think we should probably just go ahead and fold. I think that's fine. Bottom right then, we get there, and we just decide to clearly just go ahead and jam. Yeah, let's look at this in Pio, because I'm really not sure about this line. I'm not sure that we, played it optimally at all. Okay, so versus his half pot bet, you can see the Queen 6 of spades here is just a pure call. Actually doing more raising with diamonds and clubs. So let's have a look at the difference in EVs. Yeah, so calling is higher EV by a little bit. And you're always going to find this with hands that you can continue, that it's not going to be a huge mistake, but you can see that Queen 6 of spades, should just be a call. He calls. And let's have a look now. Strategy. So you can see that we really shouldn't get to this turn with Queen 6 of spades. But if we do, we should just go ahead and jam. You know, maybe we get better hands to fold. You can see some Jack X starting to fold here. King X obviously never folding. Again, some Jack X hands potentially. Yeah. So the Jack X hands here going to go ahead and fold. Let's have a look. 10X hands as well. So yeah, sort of a common theme that's run through this series so far is just having to think about, you know, what we're actually trying to achieve with bets, and, you know, which parts of our opponent's range are we trying to get to fold or maybe call, you know, if we're value betting. So yeah, I think jam can be good here. Okay, and then on the 2 of spades, you can see that it does like a jam, but again, we really shouldn't get here ever. You know, if we are going to raise the flop, then we should just jam the turn, and we don't land on this river hardly at all, but it does seem to want to go ahead and want to jam here for value. Okay, let's just go back to the flop. I just want to have a look at equities. So he has 58%, we have 42. When he bets and we raise, and then he calls, you can see now the equities run pretty close together. But if he bets and we call, you can see that our equity is slightly, you know, we're slightly further ahead with our range, and, you know, he still has a lot of hands in his range that, you know, would have folded if we check raised. So I think it's important just to look at that and say, if we do raise here, are we actually just going to strengthen our opponent's range, you know, too much, and is therefore, you know, a call much better? I guess as well on this board, we want to be able to have some hands that we can continue on the turn. So if we're just raising our 6x of spades hands all the time, let's just have a quick look. Yeah, so we're not, you know, there is a little bit of raising here with 8-6. You can see 8-6 of spades, 9-6 of spades, a little bit of 7-6 of spades. But if we, you know, if we raise all the time, then when we call, you know, our range is a lot weaker on, you know, a decent number of turn cards. So by calling here with Queen 6 of spades, you know, on a spade turn, we're obviously doing really, really well. But on a non-spade turn, we still have a hand that's strong enough to continue versus a double barrel. So we have a pair and a flush draw still, and, you know, we might have improved to a straight draw, you know, on a 9 or a king, for example. So yeah, I think it just makes sense again to just think ahead a little bit and say, right, we actually, you know, want to continue through a call here, because then we get to continue by calling on the turn as well versus a double barrel. And when we're protecting our range a little bit as well, and we just have more hands to be able to continue versus a double barrel. Quite a few spots to look at here then. So top right, we're going to be opening. Top left, if no one else gets involved, we'll raise to ISO. And bottom right, we're going to be limping. So ace 8-6 board, I think checking with this hand is good for, you know, just go for a check call. Three of clubs, we're just going to go for a check. I don't see any reason to do anything other than that. Okay, and then on the Jack of Hearts, I think we can actually go ahead and block this river. We get called by, I guess, some king highs, weaker 6x, some 3x. Yeah, we just force him to, you know, to call pretty wide on this river. If we check, we then, you know, say to him, you know, just go ahead and, you know, value bet whatever size you want to choose, and then we have to make a, you know, a tougher decision. So yeah, I think blocking river here is pretty good. So we check and see what size he goes. Okay, so he goes around 61, 62% of the pot. I think in a GTO world, we're probably supposed to call here, but it's, you know, by checking the river, we've kind of allowed this to happen, where we now have to try and work out whether we win often enough against this bet. So yeah, I much prefer a block on this river. He could be bluffing, and we have a, you know, a pretty decent bluff catcher in this spot. Okay, let's have a look at this in Pio and see what it says. Okay, so 10-6 off, just starting with the check, seems good. Then he bets and we just go for call. 3 of clubs then, we check. And his check back range is going to be some king highs, some queen highs, some hands that we beat, like some weaker 6x hands here. So blocking seems to be reasonable, some 3x hands as well. Jack of hearts then on the river, and you can see, yeah, so blocking here makes quite a lot of sense. Pio wants us to block in this spot, so we're going to check some, king highs and queen highs, but with our somewhat value hands, I guess, we can go ahead and block. And when we do that, we do get called by some weaker hands, some weaker 6x, some 3x, and some king highs occasionally as well. So yeah, I think it's reasonable. When we check then and he bets, we're not supposed to land on this river with 10-6 because we should have blocked first. But it does want us to go ahead and call. And the EV is pretty reasonable. Like it's not marginal in this spot. So I think, yeah, I'd like to see myself call, I think. But let's have a look at what he's supposed to be bluffing. So he can, value bet stronger hands than ours. You can see he's actually going ahead and value betting Queen 6 here, for example, and some Jack X hands as well. In terms of bluffs, let's just see what he's supposed to be bluffing. So you got some 10 highs here. Now we block some of those, I guess, with our 10-6 off. So, decent number of 10x, but then some 9x, 7x, 2x, 5x. All of these hands down here. So really, there's not too much that he's bluffing. I'm not convinced that population is going to be bluffing here. So having said that, I would like to see myself call on the river. I think if we can be confident that he's a good player and he's going to take his non-showdown hands like these ones and bluff them, then fine. But you can see that I guess this is the only concerning thing, that he actually does go ahead and somewhat value bet a hand weaker than ours, 7-6 and 9-6. So that makes us want to go ahead and call more frequently. If we don't think population's doing that, or don't think our opponent is doing that, then I think fold is actually okay. Okay, so pocket fours, bottom right, are going to be opening. We open ace 2 suited as well. So I think 2x is fine in both spots. I mean, top left, there's some shorties behind. You've got 14, 27, 19, and 12 big blind stacks. So min raise is fine. Bottom right, you could go a little bit bigger here. I mean, the button has 35 bigs. If he had under 30, I think min raise is fine. If there were 3, sub 25 big blind stacks, I think min raise is really good. I think given that we're playing 40 bigs effective essentially against all 3 players, then yeah, we can go bigger. 2.2, 2.3 would be good. Top left, we're just going to go for a min bet. There's just so many hands that he has to fold now, so we deny equity pretty well by min betting. Bottom right then, pretty good spot for us. Flop bottom set. So on these boards, you can see my mouse already moving over to the bigger bet, 75% pot. On these boards where the queen and the 8 are connected and the 8 and the 4 are connected, it just means that there are a lot of draws that your opponent can have, right? So lots of gut shots, 9-10, Jack-10, Jack-9, 6-5, 7-5, hands like that. Plus there's a flush draw. And also we don't block, the most obvious continues, which is going to be top pair. So I think that if we did have top set, we would go for a smaller sizing. But here, completely unblocking his continues, I really like a big bet here. So that's what we do. Okay. 6 of clubs then on the turn improves 7-5, but also improves, 8-6, queen 6, 6-4 occasionally, 6x of spades, not going to fold. So I think at this stage our sizing wants to be one where we're going to, bet pretty much the same size of the pot on the turn as we would on the river. So a bet of like 10 bigs looks good, like just over 2/3 pot. I guess it's 70%, something like that. Would then, what would that be? That would be 34 bigs in the middle, and we'd have 24 back. So yeah, similar amount. So I think, you know, a bet of around 10 bigs is good here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we went with 10. Looks good to me. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he chooses to check jam. So this line, check, call, check, jam, is often very, very strong. And I mean, we're not going to fold here with pocket fours because he can have worse hands for value, right? Queen 6, Queen 8, 6, 4. So yeah, we're definitely going to call here. But yeah, it's not a great spot if you're, you know, just holding one pair here, for example. Like if you have ace queen, king queen, you're often just going to run into to a better hand. Now, in sort of a GTO world, he's probably supposed to check jam here with like 7x of spades or 5x of spades, you know, hands like that, combo draws, so that we actually continue when we have, you know, top pair. Because if we knew that he was only ever continuing with 2 pair plus here, we should probably go ahead and fold our 1 pair hands. So in order for him to get paid when he actually has a hand, he needs to have some bluffs, right? But I just don't see players in the $22 mini Sunday Million check jamming here with 7x of spades or 5x of spades. But what you will see in the mini Sunday Million is check jams where they say off. So yeah, I guess having just said, oh, you know, we can't, you know, we're not in a great spot with ace queen or king queen or whatever, or an overpair. You know, there's the occasional time where players will just turn up with something random like this. But I think on average, you're going to see 2 pair plus in that spot. Bottom left, we just called a short stack jam. We're both short, us and the big blind. So the button just jammed and we have an easy call with ace 10 off. King 10 suited, going to go for a raise here from the hijack, obviously. Okay, and we face a 3-bet. So you can see my mouse has already gone over to his HUD. He has 6% 3-bet, but only over 49 hands. It's really not a big enough sample to go on. So if we think about population tendencies, in a $22 tournament, big blind 3-bets are just going to be on the value side. So in a GTO world, against someone that's capable of 3-bet bluffing here, we have to call. Right, we have to call, we have position, we have just a nice hand to be able to continue. Against someone whose 3-bet range is going to be somewhat value heavy, then I think we have a really easy fold. So let's have a look in Simple Preflop and see if that's true. So we'll see what we're supposed to do in a GTO world and what he's supposed to do, and then what happens if we just give him a value heavy 3-bet range. Okay, so this is what the big blind can defend, or how they should play this spot. So you can see them, you know, calling a decent chunk of the time, 3-betting some value hands in this spot. You can see that there are some jams with a bit of ace king off, ace queen off, 10s and 9s, and some 5s and ace 2 suited. But then, you know, it's pretty value heavy, but there are some bluffs in here, right? So it's like king x here, ace x down here, queen x, 10x, you know, some suited stuff, and some pairs that we're, you know, doing reasonably well against. So if they raise that range, you can see that we want to go ahead and call with king 10 suited, and yeah, this looks, you know, pretty reasonable. But if we change the big blind's 3-bet range to just that value range, so there's none of this, you know, ace x and king x hands getting 3-bet or some suited stuff down here. It's literally just like 9s plus ace queen and a bit of ace jack off, ace 10 off. I guess, you know, these are the more bluffs or bluffy parts of their range now. Then you can see that we over adjust massively, right? Or we adjust, yeah, I guess over adjust massively is the right word. So king 10 suited now, you know, calling is just really marginal. It's kind of the same as folding. So I think, you know, folding's absolutely fine. There's a tiny amount of calling here, like 5% of the time. So I think, yeah, I think this is a reasonable adjustment. And I think it's something that you want to think about against lower stakes players, or when you're playing low stakes tournaments, is, you know, if you're playing against a value heavy range, you can see that we're supposed to overfold. I mean, 10s, 9s gets folded, ace queen off gets folded, ace jack suited, king queen suited. So really just going with jacks plus ace queen suited, ace king off, and that's a really, really tight range. So I just wanted to sort of highlight that hand because I think it's one of the exploits that you can, work into your game in low stakes. You have to, it's a very big assumption that he's never bluffing here, right? That he is just going for value heavy 3-bet. But if you looked in your database when you're playing low stakes tournaments and look at big blind 3-bets, more often than not, they're going to be value heavy. And this is simply because low stakes players look at the spot and they think, wow, the guy's min raised. I've got a really cheap call here. It's just there's more incentive to go ahead and call than there is to go out of your way and make a big 3-bet here out of position. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good adjustment. I think I did fold, but we will soon see. Okay, yep. Okay, that's going to do it for part 3. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Gareth James for MTTPokerschool.com. I'll be back soon with part 4, but until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.